Okay, so as pretty much everyone knows in the For Honor community, Virtuosa just released, and she is fantastic, right? Super fun, incredibly in-depth. I can tell they really did think. They really did try to put forth effort into something new finally, instead of getting something like Ocelotl or VG, where it's really not anything, a big nothing burger of a character, just made for Dominion. This character thrives just like back in the day with old character design like Gladiator, Centurion. Regardless of mode, they were made via their personality, and it didn't matter how they performed in whatever mode, they just were made great. And that's what Virtuosa really reminds me of. But that's not to say she doesn't have her fair share of issues. And I don't want to dump on the character, as she has just came out, and I've had a multitude of comments on my last two videos talking about Virtuosa. I think they do make good points, but at the same time, a lot of this community is very casual, which isn't a bad thing or a diss at them. It's just they don't play this game very often or enough or at a high enough level where they kind of understand some of the meaty, chunky things that are terrorizing the community. But that's not to take away from their fair points. So we are going to get into what I think are some of the things on Virtuosa that just kind of need to change or sort of go away.
And a lot of these points that I'm about to get into can pretty much be entirely null and void if For Honor was a normal hero PvP game. If it had single pick like Rival, Smite, League, Overwatch, and even Ubisoft's own title, Rainbow Six. Could you imagine those games without single pick? But yeah, if For Honor had single pick, these complaints pretty much wouldn't exist.
Okay, so we're going to talk about just her straight up neutral game right away. I think her openers, her forward dodge light, and her forward dodge bash are fantastic, albeit her forward dodge bash does have quite an insane amount of forward lunge, but I'll never really knock a roll catch because people running away is fucking irritating, and you want to be able to catch them. You don't want like a mid guessing roll catcher like BP or Centurion's, Eagle Salon. Her lights, fine. I have no issue with her lights. Whatever light you choose to poke from puts you into either one of your stances, which is fine. Same thing goes for her heavies. I think everything like that is fine. There's no glaring issue with those. But really, the only thing I have an issue with is her dodge attack. Now, it's not unreactable, right? It's not. It's the same thing with Zanhu's dodge attack. It's reactable, but for most players, it's just straight up not. Let's be honest. And my biggest issue isn't the reactability of it, it's the utility of it. Virtuosa is a character where her stance is incredibly ease of use. It almost has no skill expression until you start mixing up things inside of it, but popping into it. So that's why her dodge attack is probably like the only thing from her neutral game that I really dislike, because it is not hard for her to get in a stance. And for how annoying it is to deal with, I'd rather have just a regular dodge attack, or show me the indicator right away. I shouldn't kind of have to wait to that last second. I should be pairing it at the same type of indicator timing as like an Orochi dodge attack or Berserker or anyone like that. If it was like hers pops up kind of late, or it's just a little too quick or something like that. But yeah, that's her neutral game. It's really, really minute. So we're going to move on now into the next big part of her kit, which is her auto dodge, her stances. Now, at its core, they are fantastic, right? I love everything they do. I love what each of them does individually and how they flow into each other, and it doesn't really bug me. But I think the biggest issue with her in these stances isn't necessarily the fact that she's dodging pretty much everything. She can only be countered by a select few heroes. It's the fact that at its core, there is no skill expression to it again. The game basically just plays for you, which I'm never really a huge fan of. That's why I was always really attracted to BP's All Guard, because it was kind of a thinking man's All Guard, See, even with Aramusha's, even though his is fucking ridiculously strong, you couldn't camp it. You kind of had to play the game. I would like to see some sort of the game I can think of the most is when you're playing DBD and you're fixing gens, you get a skill check, a time check. She should maybe have something sort of similar like that allows her to stay in it. That way she's not always camping it without thinking, just mouth breathing and sitting in her really, really, really strong stance. Maybe something like that. And I know what a lot of you are thinking, oh, Cold, you can just guard break her out. Then she has instant bashes that pretty much cook you out of that. And that's not really the biggest issue there. It is also that 400 ms light that you can poke from each side, but then you have the top light that's 400 ms. And it's just this annoying, irritating game, especially when there are two of them, of what am I supposed to do, right? I just get poked. Even in a one-on-one, I'm just constantly being poked. And it's like, okay, fine, I won't guard break her, right? I'm playing Warlord, I'm playing Zon, I'm playing Nabushi, I'm just gonna do an undodgeable and at her. She can CC, she can crush and counter. So the whole idea of, okay, I'm going to do a forward dodge and dodgeable as Warmonger into Virtuosa's kit Now, do I have to feint it because I think she's going to CC, or do I let it rip and it go through? So it's like now you're not getting that damage that you would expect because she has this ridiculous counter to the one counter to her kit. So that's something I just really don't understand why they gave her that. I don't think she should be able to CC in the middle of her stance. That kind of takes away the very minimalistic counterplay to her stance kit. And the other thing in there that I really don't like is the dodging out of it. I feel like if you're going to commit to a mouth breathing stance without any sort of a skill check or time check, you should be committing, especially when you're able to chain the hyper armor or use hyper armor in it for 30 damage on neutral. I think that it should be something that you need to commit to, and you should not be able to dodge out of her kit like that. And I wasn't a huge fan of the soft feints, only because like we got Hatun who soft feints heavies and the heavies, but I kind of do like her flow of tracking dodge attacks into the hyper armor heavy for people that are going to try and early dodge the lights or the top bash or any of her bashes. I do kind of like that mix up. It does do a bit more damage than it probably should, but it's really not that bad. I do really like that whole mix up. It is not fun to be on the receiving end of that kind of damage, but maybe stop being so panicky and going for so many dodge attacks and stuff like that and try and stand your ground a bit more against her. Then there's the minions procking her stance. Why does she get to throw 400 MS unblockable light in your back from minions dodging and it procs her feats, right? So that needs to go. I hope that, I mean, even if that is intended, that's stupid. That's like one of those things of like, how does that make it through? Even if it is intended, how do you like think that's good game design? Especially when she was play tested. And my last critique on her is her feats. We just talked about her easiness, her ease of use of getting into stance as to why I do not like her dodge attack being a multiple directional attack. She has her tier 1 complete and utter garbage, right? You should not be putting yourself into stance with a tier 1, and a tier 1 for the value of 3 feats, mind you, because say you do pop it, you get a tier 2 for health, and they do attack you in it. Not only did you pop a tier 1 for an auto dodge and for health, and they attacked you in it, you procced a tier 3 for damage reduction. Why? That isn't, it's just kind of lazy. I'm not a fan of when For Honor does feats that are basically their kit, like Hatun's tier 4 is just her pen. I think maybe be a little bit more creative. If you're gonna go so creative in this character's kit, and all her animations are fantastic and beautiful and very well thought out, and personality wise they do fit her very well, I think maybe give her something. She's sort of a bard when you look at her. She has, and by default, a flute, like one of those, I don't know exactly what they're called, but it's basically a flute on her hip on the back. Why doesn't she play her flute for some sort of, I don't know, whatever the fuck, like it's just weird. I'm not a fan of her, of that feat. And then there's her tier 4. I don't hate it because I think that there are so many strong tier 4s in terms of damage, and it's really nice to have that, just like, fuck you, I don't want to eat your Fury Flask. 2 Fury Flasks from, you know, we're fighting Valkyrie and Raider or whatever, and Jiangju and shit. It is super nice, but it's just like, when you are cycling them with like at least 2 of this character, that's where it starts to become an issue, because you are just getting map-wide 50 health, and say you have a Jiangju with Phalanx, I mean, you're getting 100 health with a defense boost and then Phalanx on top of that after. It's just kind of ridiculous, and it's like, it goes back to the same thing with Griffin back in the day. If you guys remember, he was a heal god, and it had to get nerfed because there were so many Griffins. And this all rounds up to my my statement at the beginning of the video. This character, everything can stay for the most part if single pick was implemented. And that's the big issue here, is that if single pick doesn't exist, this character can't exist the way she does right now in the live game. Now, it's either you add single pick to casual For Honor, because casual For Honor still is competing for most people, because there is no ranked mode in this game other than duels, which no one fucking plays because we're in the beta 9 years later, or we finally get a ranked Dominion mode and then we have single pick, and Virtuosa does, and Virtuosa can thrive in that mode. But yeah, those are my like critiques on her. They're not really anything crazy. I haven't watched anyone else talk about her yet because I wanted my opinions to be completely, for the most part, my own and not be swayed by other people's opinions, other than the few comments, which I love all you guys. Thank you for leaving so many comments and watching the new stuff. I'm glad I took a break and, you know, people are still engaging with me, which I love you guys. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this character, like my opinions and your opinions on them, and your own opinions on the character as well. But yeah, I'm gonna head out because I gotta start editing this, and I'm super fucking hungry, and I just got some food. But yeah, I'll see you guys later.